In this video, I'm going to be bragging a little bit. Actually, I'm going to be bragging a lot. I'm going to be really showing off, right? But it's not the point of this video. It's like a fringe benefit, okay? I'm going to be showing off the great pussy that I got back in the day, right? But there's a point to this video, okay? And it's actually a very important one. And I want you to pay strict attention. Here's me bragging. Back in the very late 90s, early 2000s, I was living in New York City, right? And I dated a bunch of models, right? Yeah, it was great. I was living the dream. I had a 2,000 square foot loft in downtown Manhattan. I had a bunch of money. I was a successful writer. And I was getting invited to parties where the models were there. I mean, I was living the dream. And best of all, I got to fuck the models. Yeah, a whole bunch of them. But yeah, it took me a long time to fuck these models. Oh yeah. Let me explain what happened. See, I made this friend, a guy called Chris. He was a great guy. And he had a sister who was involved peripherally in the fashion business. She had this high-end store, right? And because of that, I started to meet through him some models, right? And it was terrific. And then by chance, I met a couple of other guys who were in the film business. And they were interested in some of the projects that I was doing. And so, sort of like, butter me up, they started, taking me to their fashion shows and shit. I mean, because they had access to this kind of stuff. And so, lo and behold, there I am, this loser, hanging out with models. It was really terrific. And of course, as you can imagine, at first, I was terrified. Oh yeah, I was totally tongue-tied. I'd go to these parties where there would be these models, and they were the kinds of models that you would see on the catalogs of Victoria's Secret and what have you. I mean, they were the real deal because, see, Manhattan is the center of the universe insofar as the modeling business is concerned. The models who are in Manhattan are primo. They are top of the line. And I was there, and I was getting invited to the parties. And of course, I didn't know what to do. Yeah, so at first, I would try to talk to these models, and of course, I'd be all tongue-tied because you see, you see the girls in the pictures of the catalog or Sports Illustrated or whatever, and they look beautiful, right? But when you're in their presence, it's even more overwhelming. The sheer raw beauty is overwhelming, and to any normal guy, it can get terrifying. I mean, frankly, the only guys who are not severely affected by their raw natural beauty are, frankly, douchebags and psychopaths, right? And so, of course, at first, I was tongue-tied. I was just seeing cross-eyed. I was scared shitless, okay? It was actually not very enjoyable at first. But then later, with time, with more exposure, I got used to the situation, right? I got used to these gorgeous women at these parties. And, of course, I tried to pick up a few of them here and there. I mustered up my courage and would go up to them. And, of course, I'd crash and burn the first few times. But, you see, I was hanging out these places, and eventually, you start getting lucky. It's just a numbers game. Getting with a girl is just a numbers game, okay? It always has been, always will. You go up to enough girls, eventually you're gonna strike gold, okay? Even if it's a pity fuck, but a pity fuck it may have been, but a fuck's a fuck, you know what I'm saying? And so, with enough persistence, I started getting with models. And here is where something really interesting started to happen. What started to happen was that I got used to them. Junkies, heroin addicts, right? They take a little bit of heroin the first time and they go to the moon. They get high as a kite, right? But after a while, they need bigger and bigger doses to get high, and they don't even get as high as they used to, right? Because at first, just a little bit of heroin is enough to shoot them to the moon. But then they have to just take it by the truckload, and they can barely get a high. You know what I mean? Well, it's the same with these models, right? After a while, I got used to them, and it didn't intimidate me so much. And so what happened was that I was able to approach them. What happened was that I was able to be funny. And what happened eventually is I started to get to know them, and I started to realize their situation. And then something really interesting happened. You see, most models in New York have a miserable life. Oh yeah, they're these gorgeous girls, right? They're like, 5'10" and up. They're skinny and slender and beautiful. And of course there are like some of them are catwalk models and they're sort of like skinny anorexic, which is not attractive. But you know, the ones who do catalog modeling and what have you, you know, they've got a body, right? They've got a beautiful body, beautiful face, beautiful everything, right? But see, there are dozens, hundreds, thousands of girls who are modeling. And so they get paid peanuts. You only hear about the supermodels who get paid millions of dollars, right? Most models, most working models get paid chump change, right? And so they live in squalor. A lot of times they live, you know, 3, 4, 5 models bunking up in a single room apartment. And that's their quote unquote New York life, okay? And so these girls are looking for somebody who can get them out of this shithole. See, once these girls start to realize that you're not some douchebag, you're not some deadbeat, but that actually you can, you know, provide a potentially interesting life to them, or at least be a cool boyfriend, right? They start to gravitate towards you. And that's what started happening to me. Gorgeous women, I mean, models, literally Victoria's Secret models, would start banging me. Yeah, and it was great. I mean, one time, the week of my life, I banged 7 different girls on 7 different nights, and they were all hot. I mean, shit, there was the one girl who was an actual Victoria's Secret model. She essentially moved into my apartment, for crying out loud. She moved into it and was with me for, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months maybe? Yeah, and finally I had to kick her out. And see, the reason she had essentially moved into my place and was fucking my brains out every night was precisely because she needed a place to live, because she couldn't, or didn't want to rather, still be living in this one-room apartment with 5 other models. She wanted a better life, and so she gravitated towards me. And you know, the price of living in my loft was banging me senseless, and we had a good time, I suppose. But after a while, I just got sick of the girl. Okay, I got sick of her, and that, when I kicked her out, when I kicked out a literal Victoria's Secret model from my apartment, that's when I realized the lesson, and the lesson I want to tell you now. And the lesson is very simple. And see, you can be banging ugly chicks, or you can be banging hot chicks. They are all at their own level. You just have to decide which level you want to be in. And it doesn't only apply to fucking models. It applies to every environment, every milieu you want to be a part of. You can decide that you're going to be at the low tier with the middling people, or you can decide that you're going to be with the top people at the top tier. The only difference is where you're aiming. See what I'm saying? Let me elaborate. It takes the same amount of effort to go low as it does to go high. Just as it takes the same amount of effort to be dating, you know, in the pool of models that it does to be dating in the pool of fatties. See what I'm saying? See, because, you know, fat girls, they always congregate. Have you noticed? Just as models always congregate. And these two levels, they never intersect, right? From your point of view, you can decide that you're going to go for the fatties, for the low-hanging fruit. Or you can decide that you're going to go for the top models, see? But at the end, it's going to be the same amount of effort. So why don't you shoot for the best, for the models? Yeah, see, because at the time that I was meeting up with these models and such, I had the opportunity to date girls in publishing. Now, dating girls in publishing girls, right, they're brainy, they're argumentative, and they're not that attractive, quite frankly, okay? They've got a lot of qualities. They've read all the books that you've read, right, which is great, right? You know, the models, they haven't read a fucking book at all. I mean, at most, they've read Vogue magazine. Well, of course, they read Vogue incessantly, but they don't read it for the articles, they read it for the pictures, right? But girls in publishing, they've read everything, and you can talk to them about, you know, John Updike and James Joyce and whatever the fuck, right? But they're kind of ugly, they're very argumentative, they're as poor as models, by the way, they're as desperate to get a good boyfriend as models, but, you know, they're frumpy. They're frumpy and ugly and annoying. Really fucking annoying. Especially if you get a fucking leftist girl in publishing. Fuck that, you know? It's like a fucking asshole. So let me ask you, you know, why would I date publishing girls when I could date models? You see? And of course, that's what I did. Of course, I didn't date the publishing girls. I had a few publishing girls who were friends, but I didn't go to their fucking parties. I went to the parties of the models. Fuck yeah. You see the point I'm trying to make here, right? There are different social milieus. There are different target audiences. But you have to decide which one is more attractive and aim for that one. Hanging out with the publishing girls would have been the same amount of effort as hanging out with the models. Same amount. And quite frankly, the publishing girls initially are just as intimidating as models. The difference is, of course, the models are beautiful, whereas the publishing girls are brainy. But it's that same initial step, that same initial barrier. You know, there's a certain degree of intimidation, but once you get over it, and once you get used to it, once you know you're not freaked out by the society, the milieu, the environment that you're in, the group of people that you're with, once you're relaxed, see, it's the same amount of effort. Now, this matters not only in your dating life, it matters in your business, in your social life. At the end of the day, see, our lives are defined by the people around us, okay? The society that we move in, the group of people that we surround ourselves with. That's a fact of life. It is equally difficult to get into any particular group. Getting in the good graces of, say, a bunch of, junkies, a bunch of fucking criminals or whatever, is just as difficult as getting in with the, hoity-toity upscale people. It's just as difficult, or just as easy, depending, see? But the point I'm trying to make is that, see, why would you want to go with second-rate people? Why would you want to hang out with losers? Why would you want to hang out with frumpy publishing girls when you can be hanging out with models? And this is the point of the video. I wasn't really trying to brag. Well, a little bragging, I guess, does never hurt, right? But the real point of this video is that in every situation, you're going to have to enter a group of people, and they're going to be strangers to you. You're going to have to enter a new milieu. If you want to advance in whatsoever it may be, in your dating life, in your business, your career, whatever, you're always going to have to entering a new group of people, a group of people that you don't know, okay? And as you enter this new group, this new milieu, this new environment, there are going to be a lot of obstacles, both real external obstacles as well as internal obstacles. And you're going to have to overcome them. You're going to have to overcome them and manage them. And the hardest part of all will be managing yourself, managing your own fear and anxiety. Yeah, because see, when you're aiming high, there's a lot of anxiety that you're going to fail. See, that's why a lot of guys aim low. They don't date the models when they have the opportunity. They go for the frumpy publishing girls. Yeah, they go for the frumpy publishing girls because, see, for them it's easy because they're not afraid. See, and this is the issue. It's their fear that holds them back. Their fear prevents them from aiming high. Their fear pushes them down and makes them aim low. It's only fear in their mind, fear that has nothing to do with reality. I've said this before. There is nothing wrong with being afraid. There's nothing wrong with feeling anxious and insecure. It's perfectly normal. That's not the issue. That's not the sin. The sin, the issue, is allowing your actions to be dictated and controlled by your fear. Allowing yourself to aim low because of fear. That's the issue. Do you know the difference between the guy who dates frumpy fat girls and the guy who dates models? You know the difference between those two men? None at all. They are the exact same man, except one does not allow his fear to control his actions, and the other does. Unless he's got a fat fetish. But barring that, there is no difference. So why are you going to aim low when you can aim high? In everything you do, always be aiming high. Always be aiming for the top level, the highest level. Absolutely. Never aim low. If you see that over there is where the models congregate, you go there. And the frumpy girls who hang out over there, they're over there and they're all good and fine, but you leave them there and you go where the models are. And you go there, and of course you're going to fail at first. It's normal. Nobody hits a home run the first time at bat. No one. I don't care what your name is. Everyone strikes out the first time at bat. But the issue is, the first time at bat, the second, third, fourth, eventually you're going to hit it. Eventually you're going to hit a home run. It's just a matter of time. And the great thing, see, is that in baseball, if you go up to the majors and you fail to hit a home run after a couple of games, they kick you back to the minors, right? But see, in life, you have endless opportunities. So you can fail again and again and again. You only need to succeed once. Once you succeed, success comes again and again and again. Remember, you little shitheads, I know this shit not because I'm smarter than you, but because I've been around longer.